Hello, my name is Michael, and today we are going to be talking about how to fix your workforce communication for good using Teambridge. So let's jump into it. As I said, my name is Michael. I'm an implementation manager with Teambridge. I help some of our enterprise customers go live with Teambridge, and one of the big pieces of that is improving their workforce management communications. We're going to talk a lot about that today, so I'll throw it over to Tito to let him introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tito. I'm one of the co-founders here at Teambridge. Before founding Teambridge, I was one of the design and product leaders over at Uber. And today, for the first half of the webinar, I'll be mainly managing the chat, so feel free to chat in. And at the second half, we're going to be teasing some of the future stuff that we'll be releasing soon on the chat and communications platform, as well as a little bit of a teaser of some of the AI and the other tools that are coming out and will be further announced in our next webinar next month. So be sure to sign up for that, and we'll send out links to it shortly after. So back to Michael to kind of jump in here.
Awesome. Thank you, Tito. So as Tito alluded to, we're going to hit this webinar in three parts. The first part is the problem. I mean, you guys are probably fairly familiar with the problem. A lot of current workforce communication, it's just not great. It's not built for purpose. It's not what you want. We're going to talk about the fix, and the fix is going to be Teambridge. Teambridge provides a specific platform that has been built for workforce communication, and we're going to get into the details there. Then at the end of the presentation, I'm going to throw it back to Tito, as he said, and he's going to talk about the future. He's going to show us how we can kind of leapfrog the competition, get to a point where we're doing some really interesting and cool things. No pressure, Tito, but it's going to be exciting stuff. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, I want you all to meet Marcus. Marcus is an event coordinator. He's in charge of event staffing. And I know a lot of people on the call here are going to be like, oh, I don't do event staffing, but that's the beauty of Teambridge. It is a flexible platform. And I think you'll find that some of your problems are the same problems that Marcus is facing in the event staffing space. So Marcus, up until this point in his career, he has rocked the pen and paper, right? It is what he feels like. He loves it, but he hates it because it got him here. It got him to the point he is. But now he's got some really exciting opportunities coming up, a lot of growth that's happening, and he feels like it's weighing him down. He needs a better tool, a more flexible tool, a more built-for-purpose tool to communicate with his staff, and that's what Teambridge is going to provide. He considers his job very stressful, right? Especially on the days of the events. People are sending him messages. They're sending him text messages. They're sending him emails. They're calling him. And these are all kind of coming in different tools in a way that is very hard to manage. So it makes it harder for him to do his job. It makes it more stressful to do his job. And similarly, we want to improve that for Marcus. We want to make a better experience for him. Here's just a bit more of a summary about some of those problems. One thing I want to focus in on here is the context, right? When you don't have a built-for-purpose tool like Teambridge and you're using text or you're using just like a regular email, it's much harder to give your workers context of what you're talking about. So you're saying, oh, we have this opportunity coming up, or we have the ability to jump in on this event that we're staffing. Maybe we want you to be security or the bartender, whatever that is. In a text, I don't know, all the details. It's hard for me, and I can't immediately go and apply for that position or, jump into that shift. Teambridge is going to provide a solution for that. I also want to flag something that is kind of very timely and very relevant to this conversation today. On Monday at Apple's annual developer conference, they announced that the fall edition of iOS 26, is going to automatically filter out text messages from unknown numbers. So while that might be great, for you and my personal phones, we don't like getting those random text messages, it's going to shake up the staffing industry, and especially industries that are heavily invested and reliant on typical SMS-based communication. So that is coming up in the fall. Marcus, if he heard that news, and he didn't have Teambridge, he would be in trouble. So Teambridge is here again to help us through the ever-changing landscape when Apple decides to make a big change like they're doing. All right, my favorite part, honestly, about working for Teambridge is that not only are our interests aligned with our customers, with you, the people who own the company, or the people who are staffing or the admins in the companies that we work with, we are also interested in making a great experience for the workers, right? We want to improve the worker experience because that makes you successful, which makes us successful. If you have happy workers, if you have workers who are easier to get on the job, you're going to make more money. Your business is going to be successful. We're going to be successful, and we can make things better for the workers, which is, what we're really passionate about. So Wendy is one of those workers. Wendy is a bartender, and Wendy makes a mean martini. She's known, throughout town. She makes a mean martini. She loves working big events. She loves the energy. She loves the tips. She loves the people. The dynamicism of it all. But what she hates, or what she does not like the most, is the back and forth communication to get her there. And she's hoping that Marcus can get off the text message solution and get onto something like TeamBridge that will help her improve that experience. So again, touching on the context, touching on these issues, Wendy really needs us to help her out. One thing I want to focus on here is the trusting unknown numbers, right? So I know I get a text message at least once a week from some strange number offering me, $500 an hour, like work three hours a week. Sounds great, but maybe it's real, but it probably isn't, and I don't trust it. So what do I do when I get that? When it comes in, I immediately swipe it away, or I archive that number, or I block that number, or I report it as spam. We want to make sure that your business is not facing that, right? We don't want you to be reported as spam. We don't want you to be swiped away. We want to give you the tools so that you can communicate effectively with your workers and with your potential recruits in a way that they will read your message, and in a way that doesn't make them feel like you're, one of these spammers who are sending the messages all the time. So what is the bottom line of all this? What does it really mean? It means it affects your core business. It affects your bottom line. People are missing shifts because they never saw the update, right? Admins waste hours toggling between texts and emails and spreadsheets. Important messages go unanswered, or they don't get answered in time. They get answered too late. Visibility gaps lead to no-shows, last-minute scrambles, and burned-out teams. TeamBridge is the answer here, right? And you can read through this. There's a lot of good information on there. But what I really want to focus on is this idea that TeamBridge is a built-for-purpose app, right? Traditional communication like text, email, those are all built with social interaction in mind. I want to, text my wife and ask her if I can help, make dinner tonight, or I want to, call my mom a few times a week to check in and see how she's doing. That's what those were built for. They weren't built for a workforce, right? They weren't built for managing, a staffing company. TeamBridge is built for that, right? We have organizational chat. We have top-down hierarchical structure. We have a control center where you can run your business and communicate with your workers. All right, so we know the problem. Let's talk about the solution. Let's talk about a few examples of the solution here. So Marcus, right? Let's come back to him. He's moving up in the world. The big show is coming. He got tapped. He is going to be running Outside Lands staffing, right? He has to, which is a big festival in San Francisco, Golden Gate Park. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's a dream come true for Marcus. He's really excited. What would he normally do, right? Before TeamBridge, he goes into his email. He, sends out a bunch of copy and pastes everybody into the to bar, and he sends out an email, and maybe it goes to spam. So he jumps onto a bunch of text messages. He messages everyone. He starts calling everybody. Again, big show, but he's not ready to be in the big show. With TeamBridge, he can be in the big show. So let's show a little bit of what it actually looks like to be in the TeamBridge experience. So I switched over here to what we call the admin portal, the back end, the control center for Marcus. In an account that we've labeled TeamBridge Events, we can see down here we're logged in as Marcus. And we can see some of kind of the messages that Marcus has been able to send back and forth to his workers. You can send messages to groups of workers. You can send broadcasts, and that's actually what we're going to talk about here. If, let's say, Outside Lands is coming up, we're going to go ahead and create a broadcast, and he has options here. He can send a broadcast to the entire company, right? He can send every single contact he has. He can send it out here through the app. Or he can send it to a particular location, or he can send it to a particular role. So maybe he's only staffing the bartenders like Wendy at this event. He can send it to all bartenders, and he can send them a message. But for today, we're going to assume that he sends it to the Outside Lands location. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And down here at the bottom, I'm going to paste in my little message there, giving some information and letting people know about this opportunity. So just like that, with the click of a button, a few typed sentences. We have now sent a message to everyone who qualifies potentially for the Outside Lands experience. And what I can do for you now actually is pull up a view of Wendy. We'll see here, controlling on my phone here. Wendy's logged in and she just got a message, and we can click into that message. It pops up right front and center. These are all of her, conversations she's having right at the top. You can see the little one there that says why we need to focus on that one. Click in, and there we can see the message from Marcus. From here, she could jump into her scheduling and take a look at those opportunities that are coming up in August for her, and she can click that shift. So that is kind of the power of TeamBridge. Instead of fumbling with emails, instead of fumbling with awkward phone calls and text messages and making the experience worse for Wendy, we're making a great experience for Wendy, which we love to see for everyone involved. All right, number 2, here we go. Let's get rocking. Last minute cancellations, the ultimate nightmare for someone in Marcus's position when he is on that whole old system, right? The old system of pen and paper, emails, calls, text messages. Again, he would have to jump on a call, he'd have to do all this stuff, not great. What does TeamBridge have to offer? Well, we got a lot of different solutions here. One main one that is great is that Marcus can set it and forget it. He can basically create an automation that will go in, and immediately when someone releases a shift, it will notify all workers of this upcoming opportunity and kind of alert them to that. So let's see what that looks like in TeamBridge. So here we are again, back in the back end. If we jump into automations, I'm going to do a little filter here. We see a bunch of automations, a lot of stuff that you can do, as you know, if you're familiar with TeamBridge, to take work off of your admins, to automate it, get them doing the important stuff, not the boring stuff, not the stressful stuff. So here we are, we have our shift release automation. And really, you'll see this is quite short. It's quite simple. It really is as easy as that. We have an automation trigger, which is what is going to make the event happen. And we have a whole bunch of different options in here that can trigger things. This is totally configurable, totally customizable, totally composable. But we've chosen to do the user releases a shift automation. So when someone says, I can no longer go to that shift, it's going to trigger this. And then we have the action. And we've decided to send a feed message. And we typed out the message here. And we made use of our very cool functionality of the ability to insert variables. So we're saying, new boosted for like bartenders opportunity just dropped at this location, et cetera, et cetera. So again, we decided to send this to all qualified users. So that's people who are at that location, or like have that location in their list, who are in the appropriate role. This is what that means there. It's going to send to everybody. You can also send it to a specific group of users. So you can say, I want to send it to people who have access to particular locations or particular roles. So if this was Outside Lands, jump in here and select Outside Lands. We send a feed message, but we're talking about these other modalities. We could also send an email. We could also send a text message. So these are all options that TeamBridge has, and this is all set it and forget it. We've done the automation. We're good to go. We're rocking and rolling. Awesome. And this is an example of what that automation will produce. We have Wendy logged in here, and she creates, or she logs in and she immediately sees this push notification saying that this position is now open. And she can be click in there, and we actually even have deep linking, right? So that's another thing to talk about here. She could click on this and click on it, and that's the context we're talking about, where it'll bring her directly to that shift. All right, last scenario. Don't worry, you're going to get to hear from Tito soon. He's got some really exciting stuff coming down the pipe. Last scenario for you here is we want to help our workers help themselves, right? We ideally, we have all these great tools, purpose-built tools for Marcus to do his job the best he can. But what if we could offload some of that work? That first slide about Marcus said he's everything and everyone to the company, right? He kind of runs everything. What if he could, he's in the big show now. Maybe he can hire someone to handle scheduling, for example. How do we divert these messages to the different people on his team so that he doesn't have to handle all this stuff now that he's kind of, leveled up? Similarly, how do we make it so that the easy answers aren't necessarily being asked, right? How do we stop a user from coming in and sending the same message to Marcus as 50 other users have sent to Marcus? Well, let's talk about workspaces. So let's go ahead and pull up the mobile app again. And you might have seen this earlier. It might have piqued your curiosity here. We've created a workspace right here on the mobile app that is totally customizable. We'll show you kind of what that looks like in a second. But as Wendy, maybe I've already signed up for Outside Lands. I know this is coming up and I have some questions. This is going to pop up on my screen, or it'll be there based on access group settings. And I can click into there on my phone and I can see basic information, right? So like, wear your proper uniform, arrive 20 minutes early. So right now it says 20 minutes, right? I'll just show you really quick how easy it is to configure this. Let's go ahead and close this out, pop back into the app, or the web app, I should say. And this is all this is right here. We have this mobile workspace section. I went ahead and added one to Outside Lands. I changed the cover, uploaded a cover. I put in the text here, a little icon, Let's throw this, let's say they have to be 30 minutes early. It's a big festival. We want people to get there. They got to walk around, it has covers a whole mile of area. Let's try to make them get there 30 minutes early instead of 20 minutes early. Let's pop back into here. Next time Wendy's in here, she clicks in, maybe this is the first time she sees it. It says 30 minutes. It doesn't say 20 minutes. So that's as easy as it is to configure something that is front and center right when they get into the mobile experience. The last thing I'm going to show you again, we are going to get to Tito, I promise, is the department chat, right? So down here at the bottom, we are in the chat. We have all this exciting stuff. We saw the Outside Lands earlier, the message that came in. Here, if Wendy wants to create a message, all she has to do is click in here, and then she has an option of choosing who she wants to correspond with, right? She wants to talk to Marcus, maybe she clicks on admin. She wants to talk to scheduling, she has an issue with her scheduling, she just clicks on scheduling, and then she can send a message directly here to scheduling. Awesome. Okay, just about it for me. I'm going to throw one more slide up here for us. Okay, so two more slides, sorry. So what's changed for Marcus, right? He's no longer on pen and paper. He is rocking and rolling with the TeamBridge app. He's got all this stuff in line. He's able to throw automations in there, workspaces in there, and he has his control center. He's built out. He's in a much better place. He's ready to play in the big leagues that he's been invited to. And what has changed for Wendy? She no longer gets these text messages that are coming out of nowhere. Oh, she'll still probably get those. I mean, maybe Apple has something to do with that, but she won't get them from you. She won't get them from Marcus. She will have her streamlined experience inside the mobile app. No longer is she worried about the back and forth that leads into getting on the job. She can focus on making those mean martinis and having a great experience. And that's about it. So I'm going to throw it over to Tito for the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Michael, you want to keep driving and I can just give the voiceover?
You got it.
Sounds good. Cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look forward, just kind of a peek, mostly oriented around the communication tooling that Michael was walking through and how we're going to continue to enhance it. And in some of the future releases in the next coming months, some of the cool features that'll be coming out. But we'll also tease a little bit of our AI features that will be plugged into communications. As most of you know, a lot of the admin work that's going on that's still manual, that can't be automated, is then back and forth between your admins and your employees. But AI is actually really great at that conversational touch. So it's going to be something that's really key to our AI strategy. So if you go to the next slide, the first thing that a lot of folks have been asking for, and we're super excited to be rolling out over the next couple months, is what we call OmniThread, or really enhancing the OmniChat experience. Today we have an SMS fallback, but with OmniThread we'll be able to handle two-way SMS, inbound SMS with dedicated phone numbers, email, in-app. We already have in-app and push notifications, of course, and even adding a voice channel. Why this is so important is, again, these are going to now live in one place, so you can see every message that's sent to, in this case, a registered nurse, Sarah Johnson. You can even see AI transcripts of the calls that you have made, that inbound or outbound, and you can even see the push notifications sent to this user. Today, we see a lot of this in the activity history, but it's not in line giving you the context of what messages that person has seen. So you don't want to spam someone about a new job when they just saw a push notification about another job, 30 seconds ago. Maybe you want to add more details about that job that, they were interested in, they received that notification for. So that transparency, that visibility is going to be really powerful. And it's also going to allow you and your admins to coordinate really elegantly on the messaging to your workers, both automated and manual. The second thing that we're going to be doing kind of to our existing chat is just enhancing its capabilities overall. We already have added deep linking. We now want to add more rich previews of jobs and events so that those deep links can actually give you some of the context. You might see this in your iMessage or Android messaging or even, Facebook Messenger, where you see a quick preview of the information of the link that someone is sharing. We're going to be doing that in a really rich and dynamic way in TeamBridge so that not only can they click directly to it, but they also can see the details right then and there. Mentions, allowing you to have group chats internally, externally, or even in comments to be able to notify the right people. And the final thing that's kind of noted here on the right is contextual entry points. So today, most of the messaging is done on the user profile or the chat screen. In the next version, we're going to allow you to use our policy engine and smart matching to be able to say, hey, I'm looking at this event. Who are my top matches? And instantly create a broadcast based on that audience. So allowing you to kind of do the work where you already are rather than jumping to the chat tool. This is, again, the benefits of a vertically integrated chat platform in the system. Let's go to the next slide. And last but not least here is a really exciting kind of feature that we'll be releasing later this year, which is our AI agents. Now, the reason why they're so useful for our use case is that the chat and the voice are going to be key channels for it. So not only can you activate them via automations or manually, they can also go out and source, recruit, schedule, even handle those department-based messages inbound with contextual support because they have all the information. Last slide, kind of double clicking on the agent workflow. Here you can kind of see a sample of a payroll or a scheduling bot helping out a user. But the really cool thing, again, is that they can be proactive, they can be reactive. And unlike a lot of the agentic experiences you might see coming out there that do one thing, maybe they screen based on a simple set of questions, these agents can actually use all of your TeamBridge data based on your permissions and answer any questions. So we're going to be demoing that live on our next webinar. So definitely subscribe to that one. We're going to be showing off our entire H2 second half of the year 2025 roadmap, as well as some of the 2026 stuff. So super excited to share that, to show how agents not only live within your overall TeamBridge admin experience, but also here in the communication channel. Because as I mentioned, those are some of the most valuable channels for you as admins who are having to reach out to those real world employees and workers, get information back and forth. And now with omni-channel and agents, they'll be able to do that in one cohesive conversation, regardless of where they're responding or how they're getting the message. So super excited for that stuff coming very soon and demoing on our next webinar. So you'll be able to see kind of hands-on what it looks like.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Tito. Now we have an opportunity for questions and answers. Feel free to post them in the chat and we'll get to them. All right. Can we currently search the chats? Maybe I'll throw this one over to Tito for the executive answer.
Yeah, another great question. It isn't a capability we're adding in the new chat platform. Today, sadly, the only way is kind of like a Command F you can do on your computer, and you can find information within it. The contextual search and the semantic search will be coming in the new releases, though, so look out for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Mimi. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, sound of silence. We'll give people maybe another 15 seconds of me talking for them to finish typing. Oh, there is one. Exciting. All right, Mayor asks, is the actual messages being revamped like WhatsApp? So are we going closer to WhatsApp?
I would say if the question is kind of around just like, a full like consumer grade chat experience, the answer is yes. We will have kind of a number of features. Of course, WhatsApp's entire business is just doing a chat. So, there's a lot of kind of, features that probably aren't relevant to our more business use case. But the chat platform will have a lot more power in terms of its omni-channel capabilities, being able to thread all things into one, whereas WhatsApp is, primarily a chat product. And then when we're talking about, industry specific stuff, the ability to have it more integrated into the data, the ability to have the AI directly integrated, all that contextual good stuff like deep linking to jobs, shifts, having those contextually show the mentions and some of the other things I mentioned, I would say that is kind of much more of a WhatsApp experience. I see another question from Angie. We have issues with our staff turning off their notifications with the app and not getting some of those push notifications. Do you have any advice on how to avoid this? Now, this is a great question. I think this is, the age-old question of, hey, if we spam someone, they might, unsubscribe. They might reply stop to a text message, which legally requires, any text message sender to stop sending messages. I would say that the most kind of, high level best practice is to make sure that your messages are really targeted and relevant rather than spam someone who might not be interested in one location or might not be interested in like an event as Michael, expressed. Building kind of some of those like preferences into your messaging strategy and making sure that it is as personalized as you can get with the right variables and right context. The other thing I would say is that you're always going to have, some percentage of people, turning off push notifications, but there's also an opportunity in your comms that they are addressing or, with different kind of elements of your workspaces, for example, to recommend, hey, activate your push notifications because that's how you're going to get the most earnings. If you have incentives that are time-based and they don't have push notifications, they're not going to earn that. So really, I think it's about making sure your content strategy and your messaging strategy align. And I think there's going to be even more tools. And I think it's a great topic for just like best practices and documentation that, our CS team probably will, be really akin to.
Awesome. Thank you, Tito. Great questions.
We also have some questions in the Q&A section rather than the chat. One question from Samantha is, will we be able to filter out our messages by department? For example, if I wanted to only look at all the messages sent to the payroll team. That's a great question. I believe the answer is yes. I can jump further into kind of some of the designs and we'll definitely demo that next month. But with the search capabilities kind of come also the filter capabilities. So you'd quickly be able to say, hey, just show me payroll team and be able to see just that department.
Great question.
There's another question from Anonymous saying, is group chat based on location role part of the upcoming release? So just so you guys know, in terms of I think there was another question around the timing of the release. Now we're going to be rolling out a number of features over the next couple months. The first release is expected shortly after the next webinar. So it'll be mid-July, and then probably major releases each month after that. Some of the primary features coming first are obviously like the two-way texting, some of those core capabilities. And then some of those polish items like the mentions, like the, rich links will all be kind of fast follows there. Regarding specifically like the targeting and the audience and being able to create a group, that feature is actually getting a major upgrade, but there will be kind of different phases of it. In the first phase, you can probably imagine something very similar to today where you can select a different group of people or select, location and role. In the next chapter, we're even going to add kind of smart audiences. So you can create audiences based on the job you're looking at. You can create audiences based on policies, or even with natural language, being able to just simply type, hey, I want to say, so all bartenders who have this, on their profile. So you'll be able to kind of do much richer filters and audience creation.
Great question. And yeah, Stacy, I see your message as well. That might be best to follow up with your customer success manager on that one, just to follow up, see if there's anything going wrong there.
Cool. I think we just hit time. I think there's one question kind of regarding, and you can see Lexi posted in the chat if you want to subscribe to the next webinar, which will be more focused on the future and kind of the entire roadmap for H2 this year. Super exciting stuff. Again, everyone's excited about AI. We have fintech and instant pay products coming out in the next couple months. And then regarding the AI agents, we will know more about that. Again, that will be a phased rollout, but we expect to have some of our agents live in July. So there'll be, probably beta customer access in July for agents.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate you tuning in. Please reach out to your customer success manager with any additional questions. Thank you to Tito for you know, bringing it home for us. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys at the next webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.